On this video, again, I'm just going to mess about with a bit of watercolor, and I'm going to test my drawing with the paintbrush. I know I'll make a few mistakes, but if I get a sketch out of it that I could use to do a larger painting, I'll be quite happy. So let's give it a go and see what happens. So drawing isn't just with a pencil. That whenever you paint, you are drawing as well. So I suppose what I'm trying to say here is practice your drawing, with the pencil probably to start with, and it'll go a long way to helping you paint watercolors successfully, or any painting really. That I know I do say a lot of the time you can trace your image if you don't know how to draw or don't want to learn how to draw, but it will also make painting difficult because you do need to be able to put things in the right place, and that's where drawing comes in. I'm going to have a go at painting this scene here without a drawing, and what I'm doing is the same things I would be doing as I was drawing. I would just look at things in relationship to where they are and put them in the right place, and hopefully I'll get a painting. I know I will make quite a few mistakes and get some things in the wrong place, but that just takes practice. The more you draw and the more you paint. So you, in a way, even if you're not practicing your drawing, if you are regularly painting, you are drawing. Whenever you paint, you're drawing. You're just drawing with the paintbrush. And even if you do start with an accurate drawing to a certain degree, by the time you've put some paint on, that drawing might have been lost, and then you're into having to just look where things are with your paintbrush and put things in the right place. And a lot of it is learning to simplify. That the more you simplify, the easier things get. For instance, I'm going to take out a few buildings there. I've got a bit of a reference image here. This is based on a scene in France, a place called Hérisson, which is hedgehog in French. And I'm not expecting a masterpiece here. This is more about an exercise than anything else, really. Probably should have let that dry, really, but it's also perhaps an exercise in letting go of perfection and worrying about things a little bit, letting things happen. I did it the other day with a portrait. Now I just took a reference image that I quite liked and had a go at painting it. I knew it was nothing like the reference image, and this isn't going to be anything like the reference image, but it's quite nice sometimes just not to take it too seriously and have a bit of fun. Sometimes, less accuracy, but things like having a good brush mark or a nice bit of contrast somewhere, something that looks confident, can go a long way, particularly in watercolor. Get it looking masterful and that's probably one of the things that was one of the most trickiest things, really, is to letting go of perfection. Although I was never really a painter that did high detail, but it's wanting your paintings to be perfect straight away. Right, let's have an archway here. God, it's quite tricky, but I think it's a good exercise. But, if you're fairly new to painting, you know, maybe a good idea to start with a bit of a drawing. But, as much as anything, it's quite good fun just to sort of test where you are sometimes. But, you know, I've done a lot of demos where I'm using Midjourney images and so on, and it does make things quite easy because the reference images are very clear and so on. So to simplify this, it's really quite tricky to not overcomplicate things. Might put in little bits of detail like that. Isn't really necessary. And I think the paintings where you make mistakes, as long as they're not disastrous, can have a little bit more about them, more character and so on. That you know, we've all seen paintings that are like photographic, but they're lifeless. But you know, why do people want to paint loose watercolors? Because they look great if they're done confidently and not overworked. And I think it's probably easier to paint more photorealistic than it is loose, I think. Because loose painting is not just throwing the paint on and just hoping for the best. It's a nice, cool wall there, and there should have been. I've completely missed out a archway. I haven't dried the paper as yet, but I'm trying to just connect it all up. Starting to put a little bit of detail in there. Hopefully you enjoy this video and you get something from it. If you do, please do hit that like and subscribe. This is a fairly new channel which I'm trying to grow. Some of you may already know that I've got some other channels, Loose Watercolors with Robert Me and Oil Painting with Robert Me. These are slightly larger channels with all my latest demos. So this channel here is more for sharing other stuff that I do and perhaps some of my older demos as well, which I think still got some value in them. So let's get on with the video. Thanks for watching. All of that is a build-up for what I'm going to paint now, the houses really. So that's why, you know, it didn't need to be overworked. We've got lots of houses here, but I shall need to simplify them. A few little highlights. And eventually you realise that more detail actually harms your painting a lot of the time. I've definitely seen that when I've been editing my videos and I've got it to a point where that's looking quite good, and then I just keep going, and before I know it, I've overworked it. That little spray. Soft edges in there. Probably can dry it off. I think I'd like to put a glaze on that bridge. It's a bit on the bright side. And this could be the sort of tricky part, to know when to stop, not overdo the detail. Windows. Pots. But could have a few verticals. Wall. I think this is too cold, so colour temperature is important. So I would say with watercolour, any kind of painting, tonal values are important. Accuracy is important. So whether it's drawing, if you want to start with a drawing, make sure it's accurate. Colour temperature, knowing when to stop, not overdoing the detail. And edges, so getting the right edges. Just a small painting, doesn't need huge amounts of detail. As I'm just messing about, having a bit of fun, I'm going to use a little bit of white gouache. Sparkle in that river. Who knows? Johnson Sargent was quite partial to a bit of white gouache in his watercolours. A bit of body colour. So if it's good enough for Mr. Sargent, I think we can get away with it. Because this is just on a scrap piece of paper, I'm not precious about it. I do overwork it. It's just a bit of fun. Willow tree there, maybe. Let's add some figures, maybe a nice lantern. Remember at Erison, there was a very decorative lanterns there. Maybe that. Going over the top now, but remembering sort of contrast, light against dark. That's what makes things pop. But you can see I'm not doing anything that's perfect. Some people walking over the bridge. I've got some white paper there. He's got his arm over the side. Something I often do to give the foreground a bit more depth. I just put clean water and then just go in a little darker there. So for just messing about, that's come out okay. A little bit overworked in some areas, but that often happens when you're kind of painting without a huge plan and no drawing. But this would be a good little sketch to do a full painting, which I probably will do for the membership on my website with this scene. And I know I'll need to connect up all of this in the final painting and keep it fresh, and but get the strong enough darks, because it's these darks that are creating this sense of light. And it's come out okay. So there was no pencil drawing, but it was quite a good exercise in really looking and making sure you get those shapes in the right place in relationship to others. I've made several mistakes in the painting, but unless I point them out to you, you probably don't know. And that's often the case when we paint, that we make mistakes while we're painting, but we could probably just ignore them and just keep going, and no one would ever know that they'll just be looking at this nice area of light in the painting. So I hope you found that useful. Give it a go. It's quite nice just to do a painting and really not worry about it. If it's a disaster, you just get rid of it, throw it away. But it's come out okay, and I think I could do something a little bit more serious from this little sketch. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Please do hit the like and subscribe. Check the link in the description to my other channels, and also I've got membership through my website if you want to watch the videos without adverts, and meet me on a live stream, and we can actually paint together on a live stream as well. So until next time, bye for now.